Hello everybody. Well, we're building up to the grand big day of Christmas Day. Some of us will be having great fun, jolly, 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 drinking and partying. Some of us will be alone, and some of us will be unwell. And I know this is a time of goodwill and joy and happiness and all those wonderful things for lots of people and families, but for some it is a time of loss. This may seem a little bit of a down time to do a video like this, but I feel I have to do it. I have met so many people of late who have lost somebody, and they are very sad, obviously. This is a difficult time for people that have lost somebody, so this is a video really about reassuring people that actually, I know it is sad to lose somebody, as I have, but ultimately it is not really a great loss. It is just something we are missing, someone we are missing, but where they are is an absolutely new place, which is wonderful and joyful. I have actually spent quite a lot of time with people. I've helped them over into the other plane, if you know what I mean, and it's always been a very moving experience for me, a very joyful experience for me, and I'm very fortunate, I suppose, not to be afraid of people who are leaving and perhaps unwell and are very frightened. My father, for instance, I lost him about, 15, 20 years ago now, and he was, typical of lots of people, very afraid to leave and to die. And I was on the phone and I couldn't get to see him. He was some miles away, so I couldn't get to see him. And I just said to Dad, just go for the light and I'll come with you. And it was very beautiful. Before that, I had been to see him a couple of weeks beforehand, and I was very surprised at my skills. I suddenly resurrected an Egyptian ritual, which was very moving. There were twin beds in the room, and I used my perfumed oils and little magical tricks and things. I trimmed his beard and trimmed his hair, and I stood at his feet and massaged his feet. Even my father, I've never done a thing like that. And the presence in that room was quite remarkable. It was very, very beautiful, and I just lay down in the bed next to him, and just felt that we were sharing something very special. After all, he helped me to be born. Well, he created me, obviously, in one way, and I was helping him to leave. And so when I was on the phone and he was leaving and quite frightened, I helped him, and he flew through me and through the trees. But the second little story I'd like to tell you is much more reassuring about the fact that this plane is really just a dream, and we have lots of dreams, but this is a dream and we are making the most of it. It's not an easy dream. Sometimes it's a nightmare, as we all know. But this story was about a friend of mine who had been ill for quite some time. He's in a care home, and we both knew. I said, you're going to have to go soon. I can't cope with this. And I knew he wasn't able to cope much longer. He was in his 80s and very frail. And I had to give him some bad news that one of his friends had died. And I think that in a way reassured him it was okay to go. There'd be somebody there for him, sort of thing. And somebody, a medium, actually reassured me. I'd been to some sort of gathering, and she said, I have a gentlemen here that they do. I don't really go for that sort of thing, but that's what she said, and it was very reassuring. She said, he says he hasn't got long to go, but he will come back and reassure you as to the continuity of life. And I didn't know at the time what he meant, but of course he did go a few months later, actually, and I'd been to see him, and we'd often had this little chat that we were going to get married, but we never did. And so I bent over, kissed him on the forehead, and his beautiful blue eyes looked at me, and it was just quite a moving moment, really. I said, will you marry me? And anyway, 2 days later, the home rang me, and they said, Ken has gone. And it was quite a strange day because I was missing for 3 hours. Nobody knew where I was. I didn't know where I'd been, and I knew that I was helping him over. And I wasn't conscious of it at the time, but I knew that he was very afraid, and so I was helping him. And I think a couple of weeks later, I had this kind of, these early morning dreams, sort of not dreams, are they? They're half conscious. And he was I was in a dream with him, and he was sitting on a park bench, as those wooden benches, with his trilby hat, very tall, very good looking man in his day actually. And he got up, came towards me, put his arms all around me, and he looked wonderful. I mean, his skin was glowing, his eyes were bright. He was still the same age, but definitely a brilliant light with him, beautiful. And we had quite a chat. And I said, you know, I said, your son left me out of your funeral. I'm sorry to laugh, but it was quite strange at the time. And I suddenly said, but you're supposed to be dead. You're not supposed to be. How is that I'm seeing you? He said, well, he said, this is the real world. You're in a plane of illusion. And I thought that was, you know, really quite a profound thing to say, and it stuck with me. I tell people that story and they all look at me as though I'm a little bit off the planet, which of course I am most of the time. But I think, you know, it's best just to, I'm just trying to sort of, I suppose a video is about the balance, you know, there's lots of joy and happiness, but people seem to, well, of course we are. I mean, I was very sad when he left, obviously, for a while, and when my father left, but yeah, I was lucky to have the extra information that all was actually well, and I was the unlucky one to be left behind. Because the feeling you get when in that plane and with somebody who's leaving, you couldn't describe. It is pure love and reassurance, and one never ever need to be afraid. So I suppose this is my message, that you know, it is hard, especially for people who even believe, you know, there are all sorts of different ways of believing these things, and no one knows the actual truth, but I do know that this beautiful, loving peace and kindness and joy exists. It's there, even though we don't feel it most of the time when we're here, because this is a dream, and the reality is very hard to achieve and to feel. We do get glimpses of it, but I think on that note, it's lovely to see you. I've got my spiritual purple, my spiritual turquoise on today. Apparently this is my colour. So I hope you get the message and appreciate the thoughts that come with it. So God bless for now, and have a good Christmas. God bless. Bye-bye.